This is Breaking Through the Noise, practical strategies from emerging thought leaders who've actually broken through the noise on their terms. I'm your host, Jelinek. Let's get real and let's get into it. Hello, everyone. So I am absolutely thrilled to be speaking with a new friend, Robbie Samuels. Thank you so much for being here, Robbie. So Robbie, everyone, is a book launch strategist working with entrepreneurial authors. No wonder we have him on the show. And the founder of BizBookPubHub. All right. Welcome, Robbie. Let's get right into it. As we talked right before we hit record, I asked you for two lines of stories. One is how you help authors that you work with break through the noise to their intended audience. And the other is you've authored 3 books now. Is that correct? 4? Hey, congratulations. And so I'd be curious too to hear your own personal story of a time where you felt like you really connected with the audience you were looking to break through to. So whichever direction you want to take first.
Well, I'll tell you a little of my story because it is
I'd love that.
it is additive, I think, to the conversation. So my background is nonprofit. I was organizing fundraising events and doing major gift work, and on the side, I started running a meetup group, and then I started doing some networking training for the regulars, and that led to other people hiring me, or not even hiring me initially, like inviting me to come do the talk pro bono. And then eventually I got paid, and it was just this long arc over 5 years. It was like a side hustle. And then I finally, at the end of 2014, leave my day job, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to full-time entrepreneurship. Let's do this. But I don't want to keep working in the nonprofit sphere for clients. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I translate this skill I have to a new audience? And I didn't have a corporate sort of connection. I didn't really want to sell into corporate. And I fell in love with Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn. It's an incredible podcast. And so for about, like, I don't know, 4 months, I am listening to his entire backlog, which his show came out like 5 years before 2014. So he had a lot of shows. I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I was like, okay, slow down, pick a thing. And I decided I was going to host my own show. And I did. And then a year later, my first book came out. And I had signed up to be a professional speaker with the National Speakers Association. I was like going to fully commit to this part of my work. And everyone there said, you have to write a book, write a book, write a book. But no one talked about what to do with the book, which I think is what we're here to talk about. It's like, okay, so I labored through the writing of the book. It was like, it was not easy because my
Oh, I'm
background
so
was
sorry.
academic writing. And I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, I can write in my own voice. So that was a breakthrough. And the book is being handed off to an editor. And I realized, wait a second, this is a good book. I want people to read this. Wait, how are people going to even know this book exists? Hold on a second. So I postponed my publication for 6 weeks, build up a launch team, aim to get 100 reviews because I'm like, why not be audacious about this? And I get 100 ratings, then 150 ratings and reviews pretty quickly. I do it all wrong. I completely burn myself through the process. Like, I mean, you make every mistake in the book. Hustle, 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 hustle. And I, as a thank you, host a masterclass to share with my launch team how I had done it and my lessons learned. And then people were like, hey, I heard you have this masterclass. Meanwhile,
Nice.
I start donating to some auctions I'm a part of, like from my, associations I'm a part of, like, oh, I'll talk to you about their book launch. But you know what? I don't want to be a book launch coach back then. I was trying to be known as a networking expert. And a couple of years later, I found out that all these people in my peer group thought that I was a launch coach. And I was like, what? And I was a little like, but. And 2019, I hired my mentor, Dory Clark, to be my coach. She said, write for Harvard Business Review, do a TEDx talk. I'm like, oh, why did I agree to work with you? I got an opportunity to write for Harvard Business Review. I got a chance to do a TEDx talk. TEDx talk is published January of 2020. I'm poised to be an overnight success.
Congratulations.
10 years in the making. 2 months later, no one needs to know how to network at events. We're all at home. It is March 2020. The pandemic hits. And I host my first virtual happy hour on March 13th, 2020. And fast forward, by the end of the year, I have a thriving 6-figure business, all new revenue streams, and I'd become a virtual event design consultant and executive Zoom producer. Everyone wanted to know how I had done that.
Wow.
And so I wrote my second book, which basically is about how to build an audience before you try to sell something. It's about research calls. And it positioned me as a coach, as a business growth strategy coach, as a business development coach. And so I start getting those kinds of gigs as well. And the Zoom stuff blows up, and I'm doing so much work there nonstop. And I finally get around to writing the third book about how to use Zoom effectively. And it comes out on the third anniversary of the first virtual happy hour. And each of those
Wow.
subsequent launches, I aimed higher. So by the third book, I was like, I want 200 reviews. And for each one, I also did a masterclass for the launch team. And more people started to come and say, hey, and can you work with me? And I didn't have a solid offer. I just had a like sort of like, if you knew me, I would just do a little thing. I didn't have a process. So the Zoom stuff starts to slow down, and I test out 3 different ideas in the end of 23, the last half of the year. And one of them was book launch stuff. Because again, my coach says to me for the third or fourth time, she's now been a mentor of mine forever. She's a good friend. She's like, why are you not a book launch coach? Like she just one line. And I'm like, I no longer have ego about this. Like, this does seem like the right next step. Let me test it. And I tested it. And in 24, I built up BizBookPubHub. And 25, I like really built out my process. In 26, I increased my fees all along the way. And in 25, my fourth book came out. It's called Launch Your Book, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Reviews That Drive Revenue. And at every stage, it's about testing, it's about listening, it's about not building in a secret and then hoping the audience will love you. It's about creating the things that other people need and know they need, and knowing the difference between that and like the offer that no one else knows they need. So yeah, I mean it's a trial and error, and I think you just get better and better at this over time is my answer. And I have
Wow.
plenty that I could share about that process, but I love what I'm doing, and I get to still bring the
Mm,
Zoom in, I still bring in the coaching. It's all good.
how cool. And how many of us do what you did where the thing that we become kind of is chasing us for a while before we turn around and just accept it?
7 years, like,
Oh my goodness.
but in the meantime, I will say, um, skills that happen like, you learn skills along the way that become, like, a part of why people hire you. Like, my
Mhm.
unique offer, my value proposition is the totality of what I know. So I'm not like just clicking buttons, and I'm not uploading books. I'm not doing a lot of things that a lot of other people are doing. I'm tying a book to the person's business, and I'm helping them think through the strategy. And I have a new offer called the Author ROI Lab, which is for people who are just getting started and want to make sure the book really is a fit for their business, because I've met too many people, the book is published and we're trying to now figure out or the book's being formatted as we're having that initial call, and I'm like, who's the audience? And 12 minutes in, they really can't say in any way that makes me know how to find them. And I'm like, let's avoid that. Like, let's stop with the ego. Publishing a book is not the end all be all for a business. Yeah,
Mm,
sure, anyone has a book in them, but do you have a book that will actually benefit your business? Like, that's a different question. And that piece you laughed at about like a problem people actually know they have and they're willing to admit, like that's actually a big problem. Like we get really excited about the thing we want to write about, but we're often writing well beyond the knowledge and awareness of the people we are trying to serve, because we're kind of bored with the initial conversation because
true.
it's been the foundation we've been doing a long time. We're like, oh no, this new thing around the corner. But a lot of people still need that ramp to get to join us in this journey. And
Mhm.
we can't really rush to write book 2 and find success. We have to kind of move people along. And sometimes it's not supposed to be a book. It's supposed to be a course or a program or, mastermind or something else as you develop the IP. Like if you're not known for it yet, stop writing the book. I had someone say, I don't want anyone to know I'm working on this book because they might steal my IP. And I'm like, wait, you're
Mm,
writing a book on something you're not even known for? Like, if I Google these terms, your name's not gonna come up, then no, like, you're not ready for writing this book. Like, you should already people should be like, "Where's the book?" That's how you write a book. When people are like, "Oh my god, it would be so great if I could just take that information from you in book format. Now
mhm.
go write a book." That's a different invitation than the ego invitation of, like, writing a book. So, alright, I'll pass this mic back to you. I get very
Oh,
excited
no,
and all.
no. I think that this is so good. And in a way, probably those of us, all of us listening, even me supporting authors, it's like good pings coming from this conversation where you're like, shit, like I need to be doing more of that, and it's so very true, especially for the entrepreneurial author. Okay, can we dive in then to perhaps some examples? And I'm sure you might be cross weaving between a few. That's perfect. But walk me through the experience of somebody who really did like connect the ball on the bat and hit a home run, like really got to the audience they were seeking. And how did you help them begin to frame that even from the beginning?
Well, what's really interesting about this is that the way you really measure success for a book is by first like defining that and refining that as you are writing the
Yes.
book. So having the right book for the right audience, a well-crafted book. I like a lot of the assumptions here have to be said out loud, really, because if you're giving me AI crap that you like created in 6 prompts in an hour and a half on a random Saturday, like that's not going to be the book. So first, we have to assume that you've already partnered with the right people, and the book exists for a reason and has an audience, and you know how to be. Like if I'm writing a book for astronauts, but I don't know any astronauts, it's like whatever. It doesn't matter. Like I could be like, oh, I only want this book for Fortune 12 CEOs. Like I don't know any Fortune 12 CEOs. Like I'm sorry, this is not gonna make a difference. So there has to be people, and it's be people you can reach out to. And so one of the things that I think is really important, it's a part of my my author ROI lab, is you have to be able to do at least 5 calls. I think 25 is really the answer, but I try to move people into that with ease. But if you can have between 5 and 25 Zoom calls, like research calls with your ideal reader, not to validate the idea that you've been creating over many years and you just want
Hmm.
approval. Not to, if this was a course or a program, like, should this be a blue button or green button on the sign up page? Like, not to have them tell you how much they like your cover, but to say, like, within the realm of this topic, what are some of the things you're concerned about, questions, some, challenges, experiences, scenarios, whatever. Like, come bring a few of those. Let's talk through those. And don't just answer them. Like, your middle, like your instinct is be like, oh, that's not an issue at all. But find, like, really put your coach hat on and deeper. In my second book, which is called Small List, Big Results, Launch a Successful Offer No Matter the Size of Your Email List, I have this example of someone who says, like, I work with women who are exhausted and they, I'm sorry, I work with women who are fatigued. That was the whole line. I'm working with
Okay.
women who are fatigued, 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 all the branding. And she meets with 25 women, 12 say the word exhausted. None of them say the word fatigued.
Fatigued.
And you're like,
Interesting.
oh, so I work with women who are exhausted. Got it. Like, so that's part of the like small,
Mm.
subtle changes. I'm not telling you to throw out your entire idea, but that
Hmm.
like, how do they think of this problem? Because if you're writing a book, the promise of the book, which is the subtitle, usually title, subtitle, the description, that has to speak to the problem they know they have and they're trying to find an answer for. And now in the book, you want to then broaden that awareness to like the larger problem that is actually holding them back and offer them a solution that they might even be able to DIY a little bit, but then make it clear that you're there, you're a mentor, coach, advisor available. And now at the end of the book, they're like sitting with this idea of like, well, I can try this out a little bit on my own. This seems like doable, but not something I could do on my own. Like, I don't know that I would want, oh, let me reach out. Oh, there's bonus content. Let me download that. Oh, I'm on their email list now. Like, and it becomes this like conversation where you keep inviting them in. Now it's a question of urgency. Like, what is the cost of inaction? Like, if you do nothing about this larger problem, what happens? And if the problem is like, whatever, who cares? Well, then they're not an ideal client. If they're like, oh no, we have to solve for this. Like, this is not okay. It's keeping me up at night. It's hurting, whatever. Like, it's problem. It's problem. Now they're going to really want to get on a call with you and find out how you can support them. So a lot of the how do we have success is in that strategy work before we get out there. And I just see so many people who are just like grabbing a whole bunch of blog posts and calling it a day, and it's just that, like, I don't, your content can be fantastic, but unless you identify that conversation that you're trying to have with this potential person, and part of that is, can you actually get 25 people to agree to get on a call with you? Well, then you probably know them. You probably know enough of these people. Like, I can't get 25 astronauts to meet with me, right? So I can't sell a book to astronauts. Now, I use reviews as a metric of our outreach working. So
Mm.
I aim to get for myself, for my clients, a certain number of reviews. So for me, it was over 200 reviews for my last 2 books. And I mean the written reviews on Amazon, not the ratings. Ratings are
Okay.
the 5
Not just
stars,
stars.
the written part, which is
Hmm.
much harder to do. But
Hmm.
90% of buyers check reviews before making a purchase.
It's
So
true.
we know it's going to matter for the humans considering, but it also affects the algorithm for how your book shows up on the search results page. So the quantity of the reviews, the quality, meaning higher 5 stars, the recency of reviews, and the percentage of verified purchase reviews all get mixed into an algorithm that shows your book higher on the search results page than some other book on that keyword. So reviews are going to be ongoing social proof, and most people barely get a handful. And to break even 20 written reviews would put you sort of in a separate class than most thought leaders who
Fantastic.
just don't make
Good to
any
know
money.
that that's the
Yeah, it's
threshold.
very low threshold. Now, to
Hmm.
get 20 takes a little effort, but get over 50 requires a bit of a system, right?
Hmm.
Now, why do I aim for 50? Sure, the additional social proof is great. If you get 50, you can probably get 100. It's because if you are inviting onto your launch team your likely prospects and referral partners, and you have handpicked them based on exactly who is either going to directly benefit from the content of your book or people who might know those people, and you have some general supporters, but you are mostly aiming for the people who are going to be in those first two groups, and not just like neighbors and people you went to high school with and like your family. Well, they love you, but they don't understand what you're doing, and it's some of the hardest reviews to get is those people who are like, a review of books or whatever, I'll do it, but they also don't know anyone introduced you to. So it's like a dead end effort. Whereas if you're striving to get reviews and like sending follow-up messages, like my system is like a lot of follow-up, a lot of nurturing, a lot of personalization. Only a third of the people who say yes to being on the launch team will follow through, maybe a little more, maybe even up to half will follow through and leave a review in the amount of time you're asking them to. But
Hmm.
it's not a lost cause because you're having a conversation as a business owner, as the author, with your likely prospects and referral partners through the several week and even couple of month process. And people who don't leave a review in the right amount of time might still refer you, get you on a podcast, have you on a live they're doing, right? Collaborate with you, just know more about what you do and understand it. Maybe they'll come to you the training that you do for launch team members. So they'll see you in action speaking. Now they can refer you as a speaker. Now you have some content that you can clip up and share on social media. And then the launch party is situated to not really be about the book, but about what comes after. So a lot of first time authors are like, what do I do at a launch party?
Hmm.
I have to just talk about myself. It's like feels very, I'm going to read from my book because they picture like a fiction book. I'm like, no, you're not just sitting there reading from your book. It's not like, and in this chapter, let's talk about aggregation. You're like, we're not going to do that. Instead, it's the call to action is like, how do you want people to stay in touch? It's either an existing offer that like a membership group. So Lois Kramer, I was working with her in the second edition of her book, and
Hmm.
um, she was like, well, I don't know. I don't really have it. I don't want to do any more coaching. I don't have any more time for that. And I'm like, don't you have a membership group? She's like, right. It opens in like the April, May timeframe. And we were talking about like in October. And I'm like, and it could open this October for your launch party? And she was like, oh, it could. And I'm like, this is such an oversight, but it's like funny, right? And she was like, all right, yeah. So people, of course, signed up and joined that. I work with David
Hmm.
Newman, and David Newman is like a marketing and sales kind of, he's an expert. This is his area. But
Yeah.
him hiring me was kind of funny because I'm like, you do know how to make the shoes, right? Like, I'm like, you're
Haha.
asking me about this? This is very interesting. But he's busy. He's doing all of his own things. This is his fourth book. He's like, I
Hmm.
want to try things a little different. I can see the value of what you're doing. So he had a very engaged list. So this is the other thing for people to pay attention to. The number of reviews is definitely equal to the how actively engaged your list was before the launch. Like Lois got 150 reviews, 100 and like I don't know,
That's incredible.
yeah, she got 139 reviews. I'm going to tell you my
Hmm.
best case scenario people first, and I'll tell you what happens when it doesn't always work. But David Newman got over 225.
Wow.
Um, but that's because even though I think, the percentage of people, it wasn't like even the quantity, but it was the percentage of people who said yes that actually followed through were for both of them much higher than the third. And it's because they were already had been building community, had been engaging. Like if you never email your list, that's a great way to never have anyone unsubscribe, but it's not a
Hmm.
great way to actually build connection with the people on the other side of the email address. And so David set up, he had a bigger offer, like a $3,000 or so offer he wanted to lead people to. And I was like, let's step people to that. So he offered a 2 2-hour workshop, $100. And then on the page where people signed up, there was also a 3 payments of $300 each, so a $900 upsell that included those 2 workshops, plus 90 minutes with him, plus 30 days of unlimited email support, plus an online program that he created for one of his earlier books was valued at like, $1,000. So he had, I don't know, like 6 or 7 people sign up for the upsell. He had over 20 people sign up for the $100 offer. He made back what I
Awesome.
cost just with that. And now he has all these people who are even more deeply engaged with him and his work. And some of them will move forward into the higher priced program. He has now an offer with an upsell that he could do like twice a year to keep that pipeline moving, and that keep inviting people into the process. And it was so easy for him. He's like, I now that I've built this once, like I can just keep repeating that. Now on the other side, I had someone who knew me. We weren't working together. His book came out in July of 25. He had trouble with Amazon. He couldn't get the Kindle version on Amazon. He asked me for help. Helped him connect with people I knew who knew whatever. All this effort. Finally, in like September, he's like, Robbie, I need a different way to launch this book. Like, this isn't working. Can I work with you? Is there a plan B? And I was like, well, sure. Let's look into a plan B. So we ended up doing a Barnes and Noble review focused campaign. And as much as I'm like, oh, Amazon can be kind of annoying, they take things down, it's a black hole, we don't always know what's happening here. Then for for Barnes and Noble, you have to log in to Barnes and Noble. Do you know your login? Like, no, right? It's not like Amazon. We're like constantly in there, right? Like if we're an
Mm-hmm.
Amazon customer, we are logged in. And then after you leave your review, you have to do it's a two-step verification. You have to find an email and approve it.
Mm.
So
So it's socially, it costs more to
it's
ask for this.
so much more to ask of the
Mm-hmm.
person. So he only got 34 reviews published in the
That's a
time
lot
frame.
for that,
Right.
sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what he got? Between
What?
October and November, 5 new contracts.
Wow.
5 new
From that, was it
from
tieable
the
to?
outreach, because he had
Wow.
a lot of people on his team, like,
Oh,
he had
from the
100 people on
outreach.
his team. Those
Hmm.
34 followed through all the way to the end and met all the hurdles, but 3 were returning clients that were like, "Oh, hey, good to see you. Oh, yeah, we would welcome to have you back." And
Oh my
2
God.
were people who they were launch team members who referred him to somebody. And so those 5 contracts were big deal contracts for him. None of those happened in July, August, September, right? Just because he had a book. It happened when he actually went through a launch process that re-engaged his network in
His
a really
community.
clear and focused way. So
Oh my goodness.
my answer to your very simple question, if I were to put it simply, is you write a book that's needed, and then you make sure the people who need it know about it, and you ask them to take the step of leaving a review. And the effort to get them to do that is how you wake up and engage that conversation, which will lead to new revenue and new media
So it's
opportunities.
not necessarily always about the review in the end anyways.
Right, the
Like,
reviews are almost like tracking that the outreach is working. It's a
mhm,
metric. It's an important metric. It will help the book in a long term. It's not a vanity effort.
mhm.
Unlike hitting number one bestseller and getting the screenshot, I've done that 37 times. I have some great
Hmm.
screenshots,
Awesome.
but those are fleeting. They're not there forever. It's here and gone. I mean, I got in front of Malcolm Gladwell, and I've gotten in front of like Seth Godin. In fact, that was
Cool.
one shot rotating on my LinkedIn right now of me being in first and then being in second and third. It was a moment.
Ha. That's
But
awesome.
if you go to that book, I have over 250 reviews on my last 2 books. So that's what people notice. That's the thing. That's the social proof. If people are hiring me to speak or to coach them, right, or to buy my book in bulk to give out, like those are the cues that make them choose me over somebody else who has also a lot of credibility.
Yes, and the whole process of going through this to engage your community and drive towards reviews, you're both going to awaken them to being potential customers or referrers, and
Yeah,
then you're building that social
they know
proof.
what you're doing, and the
Mhm.
smaller you are as far as like a you know, like a big well-known like Dory Clark, who I adore her. She doesn't need this build-up. Like she and Marshall Goldberg and another friend are about to do they're co-authoring a book together about coaching. They are so well known, the 3 of them, that they don't need me, right? Like literally they had an idea, and a small percentage of their audience will be enough to get, several hundred people to review and all. That's not who I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to people who have probably not the biggest, like, email lists. Their network is always bigger, though, so I'm always like, "Oh, your best people are probably not even on your email list. Like, let's go have those conversations."
Mm.
And every conversation you have as you're building the book, as you're designing the book, as you're thinking about the content of the book, and as you're doing the launch, that's building the runway for an idea to take off. Whereas people who have these established communities that like really, well known, they have helicopters that just take off with ideas. We have little
Mm-hmm.
tiny planes that need longer runway to get out the door and
I
happen.
appreciate that.
So this is the work, and you don't need a book to do all this. I was doing this with clients before the book piece, but people are so angsty about like reaching out to someone from 5 years ago and being like, "Hey, remember me?" I'm like, well,
Yeah.
now that you've created this book that you're so proud of, and then will help people, if you don't kick yourself out of the way and let the value of this book do the talking, you're denying people access to a resource that will benefit them. And you wouldn't do that, would you?
I love that. You're coaching people to get out of their own, that's ego, but not in the bravado way, in the like, oh no, I'm so scared to share this with someone else way. And I just want to cycle back to something that you said earlier, talking to like the five, at least, if not 25 ideal readers, your
Hmm.
audience that you've focused on. I feel like the entrepreneurial author should be more open to this than the others, because that is customer development 101, right? Where you're going out and you're talking to your customers and you're having more open-ended conversations, not filling in the blanks for them to try and refine and understand your first offering. So
You
I love that
you think
you
they would be open to it, but I will say there also tend to be experts who think they know by like, there's this idea of a subway diagnosis. The doctor looks at someone sitting across from them on the subway and goes,
Mhm.
"Ooh, I know what's going on here." Could you imagine that doctor then, who's a stranger, right? Now walking over to that person who's slumped a little bit or whatever is happening and saying, "You need surgery." And that person was basically like looking for an Advil, right? Like
Mm,
their mismatch was so great. Like they've no built up community. There's no trust. The
sure.
person was looking for a small solution to a small problem, and the doctor's like, "Oh no, this is urgent. We must take care of this now." When we come out of the gate as experts with our knowledge and our understanding, we come out as that doctor. And if we really want to connect with that person, like we have to do all that rapport building first. We have to give them a lens into what it is actually happening so that they start to realize the bigger issue. They then start to seek better solutions. Then they realize we're the person who always had that solution. Like it's an ongoing effort. And it's not just through a book, it's through our social media content, our email content, like the conversations we're having. It is a process, and it
Yes.
doesn't have to be a 10-year overnight success like my first time. I now can kind of validate an idea in about 6 weeks. I tell people usually in about 12 weeks, you can have the right number of conversations to validate
Mm,
an idea. But in a concentrated 3 months of effort versus a year and a half of building out something and then wondering, like, "Why is the market like, who are you? What is this? I don't need this,"
sure.
which is, so annoying.
It is. It's tough. But the interesting thing that we talk about with authors is the reason they pick up the book is not the reason they fall in love with you and stay at the end, which you highlighted when you were bringing that example forward. It's about making sure we have enough listening and empathy with that first initial hook of why does someone pick up your book? You may not know that author, but this big secret that you want to unleash to them, you can still, yes. And that might be the reason they stay and subscribe and become a part of your community and everything else from there. So, Robbie, is there anything we can point people to of yours or promote of yours as we begin to wrap up our episode and this conversation? Thank you. Because I feel like we're all drinking through a fire hose and like, oh my God, this is so good. So, anywhere that people can go or should go from here.
Well, one, thank you. I'm on a bit of a mission to educate entrepreneurial authors about the difference between like vanity metrics and strategic effort, and knowing where to put their energy and money and their time. Um, so booklaunchbrainstorm.com, I'm willing to talk to someone who's thinking about writing a book, is in the process of that, maybe even has a book that they feel like didn't really launch in the way they had hoped. It got published, but it didn't get out into the world wherever they are in that author journey. I'm the founder, as you mentioned, of BizBookPubHub.com, which has got a curated directory of experts who will help you wherever you are on your author journey. And those are the folks I can introduce you to if you need their support. We have a podcast and a blog and free virtual networking events. So definitely great resources there. And then I also organize Kindle flash sales. So if you already have books that are out there and you're looking for a way to do a collaborative marketing effort, you can also find that at bizbookpubhub.com as well. Basically, I want to be a resource to people. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I think that's how you found me. Send me
It
a note.
is.
and follow the stuff that I do there, because I'm always trying to do some education.
Wonderful. Well, you've more than educated us, and I appreciate how much you got in such a little time. So, I mean, what a resource. Thank you so much for this crash course in book launching. And everyone, definitely check out what Robbie does. Go to the Pub Hub, take him up on that brainstorm. And thank you again, Robbie, for everything you shared today. So valuable. Thank you for listening to Breaking Through the Noise. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And drop a comment on topics you want to hear about in future episodes. We'd love to hear that. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.